This page includes brief information regarding my action plan. All photos and screenshots of the chat record have been obscured to maintain privacy and confidentiality. The action plan focuses on one unit in which vocabulary acquires and students collaboratively develop interdisciplinary curriculum for TOEFL vocabulary classes. In RTOs, acquirers have taught me to plan courses and select materials, and they are randomly assigned to each class. So it will be a great initiative to develop a shared instructional leadership among acquirers and students to yield rich ideas for changing courses and classroom environment. The actions proposed for SL building will have educators realize that they are not only responsible for students' learning, but they are also responsible for their own learning. TOEFL vocabulary is often taught through content or in alphabetical order. I think develop shared instructional leadership provides an opportunity to introduce scenario vocabulary teaching method to my colleagues. In addition, building shared instructional leadership will positively influence how educators and students participate in pedagogical practice. The proposed actions are not just beneficial for students due to their involvement and roles as active agents. It also helps educators to become more professional. The action plan has 2 rounds. In each round, 15 students enrolled in TOEFL vocabulary classes are divided into 2 groups, Group Arts and Group Science, according to their academic backgrounds. The director of study in my LTO will facilitate Group A's discussion and collaboration, and I will facilitate Group S. Before the proposed actions begin, students and educators are given 10 copies of past papers to review and thereby determine the most frequently tested interdisciplinary scenarios. Each group will work on one of them. Students in each group will be divided into 2 subgroups. Each subgroup will work on one scenario and then compare a vocabulary list. Then the 2 subgroups in Group A and S will discuss their work together and then determine how 2 different scenarios are related and integrated. They will also brainstorm other possible ways to integrate scenarios. Students in 2 groups will present their experience in collaborative curriculum development and share the list of vocabulary and background knowledge they have organized. Collaborative work and discussions will be carried out face-to-face in self-study time after class. During Spring Festival occasion, I create 2 WeChat groups and invite 15 students into group pages to make nonsense messaging type of conversations about interdisciplinary fields of scenarios they are working on. There are 3 methods to assess action plan. The first one is through observation and teacher theories. In teacher theories, 2 educators will record the challenges they encounter when action plan is implemented, students' engagement and performance in completing actions, and whether actions of building shared instructional leadership has educational benefits for students. The second one is through discussions with other educators. Educators involved in this action plan will deliberate with other educators to determine whether participating students are able to apply what they have learned during the actions in other classes. The last one is to conduct student survey. Anonymous student survey will be administered to exam students active toward the content and implementation process of this action plan. Group A includes 5 students who chose interdisciplinary scenario of art and anthropology based on listening and reading paragraphs, the theme of which is Aboriginal rock art. Group S includes 10 students who chose interdisciplinary scenario of astronomy and geology based on listening and reading paragraphs. the theme of which is planet surface and volcanoes. Then Group A highlighted all the scenario vocabulary pertaining to art and anthropology and compiled two vocabulary lists for both scenarios. Meanwhile, Group S worked on astronomy and geology and compiled scenario vocabulary lists as well. Both groups also explored how those scenario vocabulary words were used in sentences and in certain contexts, and how scenarios were related and integrated into interdisciplinary fields of knowledge. The scenario vocabulary lists were co-created in a Google Doc by students and educators in both groups. The outlined words came directly from assigned materials. The shaded areas include background knowledge from past tests. For example, when students read the word dating in assigned passages, they decide to compile it to an anthropology scenario vocabulary list. They then discuss the background knowledge regarding the dating method and chose relevant words such as relative and absolute dating methods. Based on their discussion, I suggest that they extend their vocabulary list by adding radiocarbon dating methods. This led to them adding a series of words, such as organism, oxygen, and carbon dioxide, which belong in biology and chemistry scenarios. When the students from Group S brainstormed different ways to integrate astronomy and geology with other scenarios in the WeChat group, one student suggests that astronomy could be integrated with physics. On February 10th, LEGO made a gravitational wave announcement. Many videos were available online for people to learn about gravitational waves and how their detection accelerates the development of physics. I reposted video about colliding black holes and gravitational waves from Weibo to the WeChat group, and students found that several of the astronomy and physics scenario words that they had compiled were used in the video. Additionally, students asked questions about scenario classifications, such as we compiled the word collision into a scenario vocabulary list for geology, so why did it occur in the context of astrophysics? I think with the assistance of additional material and educators' guidance, students will engage in the profound process of concept development through discussion and through asking intelligent questions, relating ideas, and engaging in rational and sophisticated inquiry. Two groups of educators and students will make a presentation to each other to share their experience in collaborative curriculum development in next few days. For Group A, Barbie suggests I could invite students to debate to climb or not to climb on the Earl card. I think it's a good way to invite students to engage in critical literacy pedagogical practice. For Group S, they plan to use Padlet as a map, but all of the students have little experience in navigating such a digital tool. Therefore, I create a sample schema of inner disciplines of astronomy and geology for them. All students involved in the action plan found that they were able to memorize some discussed scenario vocabulary. Some of them suggest that they were able to subsequently recognize those terms while listening and reading about similar topics. They were able to categorize words according to the relatedness of the connotations. Additionally, they found learning vocabulary was interesting. It built their confidence in demonstrating their own fields of expertise. With respect to educators and students' perception of impacts of the action plan, firstly, two educators found that students made use of A1 English in the face-to-face setting and with cell phone app helps to incorporate their prior knowledge and experience. Besides, with a system of I1, students feel comfortable and confident expressing their views to peers and educators. Secondly, two educators suggest for Group A that they need to consider vocabulary used in contemporary art, multimedia, technology media, and to connect their work base with real life. For example, if students have expertise in games, videos, or other models of digital communication, they could add some technical words into art scenario vocabulary list. Finally, students of Group S reflect that they have learned a new way to organize disciplines, which is to organize disciplines around real-life problems. This page includes some students' narratives about difficulties they encountered in the process of collaborative curriculum development. The first challenge is that most students involved in this action plan have vocabulary between 3,500 and 4,500 words. When students reviewed assigned materials, they found that the lack of vocabulary impacted the process of finding scenario vocabulary because they could not distinguish whether new words belong to fundamental vocabulary or scenario vocabulary. Moreover, some students have little background knowledge in art, anthropology, astronomy, and geology. Therefore, it took a long time for them to search for information from different sources and make contributions in group discussions. Secondly, there are more than two scenarios integrated into one passage. Students in Group A found that although the theme of such passage was Aboriginal rock art, knowledge of archaeology, sociology, and geology was also integrated into content. Similarly, Group S found that scenario vocabulary of physics, chemistry, and meteorology was also used to discuss planets' volcanoes. Students need to prepare and compile more background knowledge related to frequently tested scenarios. Thirdly, since educators cannot teach vocabulary in all scenarios or relevant background knowledge, and we cannot brainstorm about all possible interdisciplinary fields, it's difficult to build background knowledge system. Finally, most students prefer to search for information online when they supplement a scenario vocabulary list and background knowledge. Although another care and I emphasize the importance of information reliability, most students seem to care little about information sources. In the second round of my action plan, another educator and I recommend that students check in help their peers check the validity of websites and search engines, and discuss what perspectives might be included or left out in that information. Students were encouraged to read and watch supplementary tests, multiple tests, and videos about relevant topics from multiple perspectives in addition to the prescribed textbooks. Dr. Zhang argued that my students who are taking IELTS and TOEFL tests are those who are determined to pursue future study in their imagined communities, such as universities in developed countries. In the second round, I will select some materials related to campus life scenarios, such as taking notes in lectures and finding reference books in the library for students to discuss. Educators could explore how students' visions of future participation in imagined communities can influence their long-term learning trajectories. Thank you very much for watching.